This video is on weighted scores. I'm making this video for a couple of reasons. First off, throughout my academic career, I never had anybody explain weighted scores to me. As far as I know, none of my classes had weighted scores, but I occasionally hear about classes that have them. So I don't know if a student is in a class that has weighted scores. I don't know if the teacher explains how to calculate weighted scores or not, or if it's just something that people are expected to know. So at any rate, I just figured this out on my own, and so I'm making the video. The other reason I'm making this video is because my YouTube search results for weighted scores were typical, which means the only videos I could find that explained weighted scores were taught with the Sheldon Cooper teaching method. That's a reference to the Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon had to teach a friend of his in a class, so Sheldon did everything he could to make everything completely incomprehensible. So the YouTube videos I saw that explained weighted scores, they were so weird and long and convoluted. There was no way I could follow any of them. So anyways, I'm making this video to make it short and sweet and simple. If scores are weighted, so for example, if homework is worth 20% of your grade, then that means your homework has a maximum of 20 points possible out of 100. So calculating this is real easy. I'm just going to do two tests here to show how this works, and I'm also going to use an extreme example because whenever you want to understand something or understand a concept, it often helps to think in extremes. So this is a pretty extreme example. Test 1 is worth 25% of your grade, which means it's only worth 25 points out of 100. Test 2 is worth 75% of your grade, so it is worth 75 points out of 100. So test 1 here, you get 148 points out of 200. Test 1 is a very long test. It took 2 hours to take that test, or maybe even 3 hours. I don't know how long it takes to answer 200 questions. But at any rate, you get a 74%, but that is not 74% of 200 points. You only get 74% of 25 points. There's two different ways to logically calculate this or to go through the logic. Most people will just take 74% of 25 points, and that's how many points you get. If you wanted to set this up algebraically, it would be x over 25 equals 74%. So this means you got so many points out of 25 to equal 74%. So 0.74 times 25 gives you 18.5 points, and this is your points out of 100. But you could also phrase this as 18.5 points out of 25. And test 2 was a very short test, just took a few minutes to do that one. You got 48 points out of 50, so you got 96%, but you did not get 96% of 50 points, you got 96% of 75 points. So 75 is quite a bit better than 50, so this is really going to help your grade. So you just take 96% of 75 points, or set it up algebraically. X over 75 equals 96%, or 0.96. This means x equals 72. So in other words, you got 72 points out of 75. So we can add up our points out of 100 right here. 18.5 plus 72 equals 90.5 out of 100. That is a 91% or an A. If you just add up your raw score, if you say that nothing is weighted and you just add up your points as a raw score, this will be 148 plus 48 divided by 200 plus 50. You'll get 196 out of 250. That is 78.4%, or 78%, which is a C. So in this extreme example, by heavily weighting test 2, you went from a C to an A.